Ambassador Sarah Chen adjusted her formal diplomatic robes as she walked through the crystalline corridors of the Zephyrian High Council's orbital station. The delicate chimes that served as the station's ambient music seemed to falter slightly at her approach, as if the very air recognized something predatory in her measured steps. The Zephyrians were a peaceful species, too peaceful perhaps. For 3 centuries they had maintained their position as the galaxy's premier mediators, through their innate ability to sense emotional resonance and their complete aversion to conflict. Their translucent blue skin would shift to deeper hues when detecting aggression, making them natural lie detectors and diplomats. It was precisely this gift that had made the current crisis so bewildering for them. The Korthak hegemony had declared war on the Zephyrian collective 6 months ago, citing territorial disputes over mining rights in the Andorian Nebula. What the Zephyrians couldn't understand was why their traditional diplomatic approaches had failed so catastrophically. Every peace offering had been met with increased aggression, every concession with greater demands. That's when they had reluctantly reached out to humanity. Sarah paused before the great doors of the council chamber, her reflection multiplying infinitely in the prismatic surface. She had studied the Korthak extensively during her journey here. They were apex predators from a world where negotiation meant showing weakness, where respect was earned through strength alone. The Zephyrians, for all their wisdom, had been trying to negotiate with tigers using the language of deer. The doors dissolved into motes of light as she approached, revealing the circular chamber beyond. 12 Zephyrian counselors sat in hovering meditation pods, their skin currently a worried shade of deep purple. At the chamber's center stood High Mediator Veltar, whose usually serene features were creased with uncharacteristic stress. "Ambassador Chen," Veltar's voice carried the musical quality of his species, though it trembled slightly. "We are grateful for humanity's willingness to assist, though we confess uncertainty about your methods." Sarah's smile was sharp and knowing, the smile of someone who had grown up on a world where her ancestors had climbed to the top of the food chain, not through size or strength, but through cunning and pack tactics. "High Mediator, with respect, you've been trying to make peace with predators using prey behavior. Sometimes to speak to a wolf you must show your own teeth." The Zephyrian skin shifted to an alarmed orange. They had invited humanity specifically because humans were known for their unusual problem-solving abilities. But seeing that predatory gleam in Sarah's eyes made them question their decision. 3 days later, Sarah sat across from Warlord Graktul aboard his flagship, the Blood Talon. The Korthak commander was an impressive specimen, 3 meters of scaled muscle and bone ridges, with eyes like molten copper and teeth designed for tearing. His bridge crew flanked him, weapons within easy reach, their body language screaming dominance and barely controlled violence. "So," Graktul rumbled, his voice like grinding stone, "the prey species sends us a human. I had hoped for more sport." Sarah leaned back in her chair with casual confidence, her posture relaxed but somehow managing to convey coiled readiness. "Warlord, I appreciate directness. Let me be direct in return." She activated her personal data pad, and holographic displays filled the space between them. "These are the population statistics for the Terran Colonial Marine Corps. Note particularly the recruitment rates from our penal colonies." The Korthak officers leaned forward, intrigued despite themselves. "This," Sarah continued, her voice conversational, "is the orbital bombardment pattern we used to pacify the Centauri rebellion. Those dots represent cities that no longer exist." The display shifted. "And this is the biological weapon we deployed against the Kepler insurrection. Very selective, only targets specific genetic markers." Graktul's eyes narrowed. "Threats human?" The Zephyrians tried threats. Sarah's smile widened, and for a moment, something ancient and dangerous flickered in her eyes. The echo of a species that had once hunted megafauna across frozen tundras, with nothing but sharp sticks and endless persistence. "Oh, Warlord, these aren't threats. These are specifications." She stood moving with predatory grace to the view screen that showed the Zephyrian station in the distance. "You see, the Zephyrians made the mistake of appealing to your better nature. But I've read your species history. You respect strength, you understand power." She turned back to him. "The question is, do you understand when you're outmatched? You think your single ship can—" "My ship?" Sarah laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Warlord, my ship is simply transport. I'm here as a courtesy, a final diplomatic gesture before humanity stops pretending to be civilized." She gestured to her data pad again. 37 human battle fleets are currently moving to positions throughout Korthak space. Not to the border, to your core worlds. Your homeworld will be within bombardment range in 72 hours. The bridge fell silent except for the hum of ship systems. Graktul's copper eyes fixed on Sarah with new calculation. But, she continued smoothly, my government recognizes that the Korthak are a proud warrior people. We don't wish to exterminate you, that would be wasteful. Instead, we offer a more profitable arrangement. Over the next hour, Sarah laid out humanity's proposal. The Korthak would withdraw from Zephyrian space and enter into a defense pact with the Human Colonial Union. In exchange, humanity would provide the Korthak with detailed intelligence on 17 different species that posed potential threats to human expansion plans. Worlds that needed pacification. Enemies that required a warrior's touch. When she finished, Graktul was silent for a long moment. Finally, he bared his fangs in what might have been respect. You offer us war. I offer you war with profit and honor rather than extinction with stubbornness. The warlord stood, towering over her, but Sarah didn't flinch. She simply watched him with those patient, calculating eyes, the eyes of a predator that had never forgotten how to hunt. The Zephyrians called you their diplomat, he said slowly. Sarah's smile was sharp as a blade's edge. Warlord, I am a diplomat. I'm here to help you understand your options clearly. Surrender unconditionally to the Zephyrians and face the consequences, or accept partnership with humanity and prosper through conquest. She tilted her head slightly. I find most reasonable people can be quite diplomatic once they fully understand their situation. 3 days later, Sarah stood again before the Zephyrian High Council. Their skin had returned to a healthier blue-green, though they still regarded her with obvious unease. The Korthak have agreed to withdraw immediately and provide reparations, she reported. They've also signed a mutual defense pact with the Human Colonial Union. And what did humanity offer in return? Veltar asked, though his tone suggested he wasn't sure he wanted to know. Sarah's expression remained pleasantly diplomatic. Nothing they weren't already planning to do anyway. We simply helped them find a more profitable direction for their natural inclinations. As she walked back through the crystalline corridors toward her ship, Sarah allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. The Zephyrians were safe, the Korthak had found new purpose, and humanity had gained both a powerful ally and deeper respect throughout the galaxy. Sometimes the most effective diplomacy wasn't about making peace. It was about making sure everyone clearly understood the alternatives to peace. And sometimes, to protect the gentle and innocent, you had to smile like the wolf you'd never quite stopped being.